Hello and welcome to another video tutorial for HearFormPRO 2018. In this video we'll be looking at an introduction to the HearFormPRO scheduler. I'll be covering a variety of scheduler topics with great detail in subsequent videos, but for now let's take a look at a quick overview of our new scheduler. From the HearForm home screen I'm going to click this button right here, and normally it takes a little longer to open up, but I had it all ready to go. So what we're looking at is my favorite view in the scheduler, and that's under the word clinician. So we're going to look at some of these different buttons and what they do in a little bit. Again, greater detail in subsequent videos. Right now I can see on the left that I can see a previous month, current month, and next month, but I can also hide that area if I want to make my scheduler wider. So I'm going to click this little triangle button here. I can hide or show what's called the sidebar. And that may not matter if you have a really nice widescreen, but if your computer monitor or resolution is narrow, then it might be helpful to be able to show more of the scheduler. So just keep that in mind. You can click this little button right here and you can see just the scheduler itself. We'll bring that back because there are other things that I want to show you in that area. Now we're going to skip this second button here, calendars. We'll talk about that another time. But I definitely want to talk about filters and settings. So for example, under the filters area, I can hide or show by clicking a button. If I just want to see 3-month clean and checks, it will hide everything except those. And if I click an additional button, it still keeps the first one highlighted, and I can show additional items there. I can also clear the filters and bring everything back in just a moment. So we'll talk about how to add new appointment types in another video, but I wanted you to be aware of the filter area. In addition to that, we'll have the ability to scroll down just a little bit and see advanced filters, if you will, to be able to hide or show based on which clinician you want to see. So let's go to the next button called Settings. And again, we'll cover these in great detail, but this allows us to change what time of day the default time will start. In this case, 8 o'clock a.m. The earliest time is at 7, but we can have it start, for example, at midnight, so you can scroll up or down that way. So here I've got it basically from 7 till 8 o'clock, but you can set that any way you want, and you can set your time scale in increments of 5 to 60 minutes. If I want to show weekends, I can do that, and in this case then, when I'm in a week view or a month view, it would include those weekend appointments. So I'm going to turn that off for now. And I'll talk about some of these other ones as we start looking at some of the different ways of viewing the scheduler. So over here, let's talk about these buttons here. I can go back to the home screen by clicking this button here, and it essentially just takes me back to the home screen. But I also can look at this in a number of different ways. Now all of my 4 clinicians are showing, so when I click the scheduler button, it's going to look a little bit like a mess because all of these are on top of one another. But I can also view that as a list, and it's showing my 8 o'clock appointments and my 8:30 and 9 in chronological order there. I can also view this as a scheduler week, but again, this looks a little bit busy when you have all of those appointments crowded in for each of those clinicians. So I'm going to go to Filters, scroll down with the wheel of my mouse, and go to Advanced Filters, and I can show or hide when I apply and see just Virginia there. So that's one way that you can filter. Let's bring them all back. But I can also do something else up here with these buttons here. So if I want to see just Virginia and Beth, then I can see a fewer number, so it's not quite as crowded. Or if I just want to see Virginia, I've set up these little buttons up here. You have up to 10 buttons here. We can add up to a total of 20 if needed. And I can see Elizabeth's week, or Donna's week, or Duncan and Donna together. Or I can see all columns, which again is going to make it look a little more crowded. I can set these buttons to say an office location, which might include Mary and Bob. And in this case, again, it's just showing different information. So let's go back real quick to my favorite view, and that's called the schedule right here. So when I click these same buttons here at the top for San Diego, it's set up to show just 2 columns because I set it up under the setup groups area. So notice that it's Duncan and Elizabeth here because those are the 2 in the San Diego office. In the Spokane office, I have 3 people set up, Virginia, Elizabeth, and Donna. And in my Edmond office, I have all 4. So you'll be able to use those buttons to very quickly work on those. And again, even though I've done that, I can still show or hide information on that area based on what appointment types I want. So let's go ahead and clear those filters. The other thing that I can do is view this information in a pivot schedule, as it's called, and you can scroll through your different days or times by clicking these here. Now, I don't have a lot of times in the afternoon in my sample, but you can kind of scroll back and forth there if you want to see it in a pivot area. And I can view this as a list. I can view it as what's called a pivot list. So you can play around with these and decide what you like best. Now, I again prefer, under the Clinician tab, the button called, or the selection called Schedule, where I can say here manually, I want to see just 2 clinicians and I want to see them for 3 days. So that's kind of cool. I can see Virginia and Duncan, etc. I'll close the button here. It doesn't close automatically because it may be waiting for another response from you. But now I can see 1 day, 5 days, whatever it is, for one individual or multiple individuals. So that's kind of neat if you want to play around with that. Let's bring it back to 4 clinicians and just 1 day for now. Okay, you'll notice there's a red line here. It says 12:02. That's what time I'm recording this, and that is just going to let you know what time of day it is. That can be turned off, but you'd have to ask tech support for help with that. So that just gives you an indication of what time of day it is at the moment. So let's go ahead and look at some other variations of this. We looked at day view. I'm going to look at week view here, again as a schedule. And I can, just the same way as before, I can hide or show for the week view which appointments are coming in like that. And in the same way, let's go to month view. And I have a number of appointments here that I've scheduled just for that month. There are no appointments in my scheduler for next month at this point, or very few, I should say. But notice that it's all kind of crammed in there. So I can see the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th, etc. And there's only so much room really for 4 or 5 appointments. But I have an option here under settings, and that will allow me to do something called fluid months. So when I turn that on, the calendar stretches to accommodate all the appointments for that day. And if there's a lot of text, for example, in a description, it would also stretch that to accommodate. So now I can scroll down with the wheel on my mouse or grab the scroll bar on the far right. And as you can see, I've got a lot of information that's available to me that I couldn't see in a standard compressed view, when there's no fluid month showing. So we'll go back to no, just to give you an idea of the difference. Another way of looking at things is in a horizon view, and again, you can decide if there's any value in these different things here. So we're going to talk again in subsequent videos about the appointment list. Now this appointment list pops up to my full screen size, and I'm going to have to make this a little bit smaller if you'll bear with me. Because I've got a 30-inch monitor, it doesn't all fit in my window that's sized perfectly for the video. But as you can see, we see an appointment list here, which allows us to sort by any number of categories. I click the top of the button and the column essentially that says appointment type or clinician, and I can then see here's all my Virginia appointments, or here's all my clean-in checks, my 6 months, and I can do that based on any period of time. So if I just want this week, there's my clean-in checks for this week, or next month, or this month, or any number of other categories. Sorting it again by office location. Notice there's a break here where there's 2 that are not assigned to an office. So that's what this little slash here means. I can remove any of those that are blank, making it a little bit easier. So again, sorting it by date, sorting it by reason or referral source. There's a lot of them that don't have a referral source, so I'm going to remove that. I think I did referral source, but there we go. And so it'll show me my different referral sources like that. So a lot of things that we'll discuss later regarding different ways of viewing that data that's really helpful. And again, in this area, I want to see all my clinicians and what kind of appointments they've had, or break that down by office or by month or by referral or different things like that. So it's really kind of a nice way to be able to print. I'll do a quick PDF just to show you. And it's a nice report showing your appointment types, how much revenue came in for that period of time, etc. So in this case, though, I'm going to go back to the scheduler, which closes that. I'll go back to my favorite one, which is clinician. And again, in subsequent videos, we'll talk about how to create new appointment types, and change the color of those things, and a number of different things that you'll find to be much more helpful. Making an appointment will be in a subsequent video, but it's real simple to do. Making a repeat and working with your key performance indicators will also be covered in a subsequent video. But for now, I just wanted to give you an overview of our schedule, and I hope you like it. Thank you for watching.